Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Anna. So Anna, welcome.
Hi.
So Anna, what is your official type? Because you have a type that's pretty rare actually in our group. So what is your official type?
So the official type is FF, FE, and E, and I think I only have one twin type in the group as a whole.
And then can you give us the rest of the animals?
Oh yeah, sorry, it's play, consume, sleep, blast.
Yeah, blast last for sure. There we
Oh
go.
yeah, blast. Oh, I suffer from that.
Yeah, but you play first, so you're gonna be okay because the play first really helps a lot with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it does.
so what did you feel and what did you think when you got your typing results back?
So I actually had myself typed as an ISTP, but after I started watching like the YouTube channel, I was like, okay, so I got something clearly wrong based on, everybody types themselves upside down. You don't really see yourself. I was like, oh, this is tough. I don't want to go through this. But then I booked a call with Shan, and she was like, yeah, you got yourself totally upside down. That is like the reverse of what you are.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it was a dramatic event. It was just a bit like, oh, that makes so much more sense in terms of like my life genuine problems. Like being bored all the time, not being able to focus on one thing, moving on too quickly with things, and yeah.
And then how did you become you're an ESFJ, but you're like a jumper ESFJ. So what part of the ESFJ, like did you have like people problems or like self problems? Like what was the reason for that?
Oh, both. People problems and self problems. So it's like, but I thought like Fe is a demon. Like my assumption was that Fe must be a demon because I hate people. I just hate them. I
Yeah.
hate them. I hate them. I hate them. They're so annoying and they're everywhere, and therefore it must be a demon. And I think that was the biggest mistake I made, because just because you don't like people doesn't mean you're not a tribe savior.
Yeah.
But in terms of, yeah, I also have a lot of self, like every month or 2 months, I have a small self crisis. Who am I? What am I doing in my life? Where is my life going? What do I really want?
I think the fact that like you were saying I hate people is already like saying, okay, yeah, this person is like a single decider, you know. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I don't like I do think about that, but not to the point where like you guys are doing it, you know. Like since interviewing a lot of like single designer, I was like, oh my god, this is like the amount of people um, obsession that's happening is like pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh my, it's terrible. And then, it's sort of like you walk in a room and it's genuinely like, oh, there are humans in here. I must be on guard because humans are here. It's very annoying. Sometimes I wish I was an observer.
Yeah, it's definitely your life's a little bit easier in a way. I would admit it is easier as a single observer.
I know, like my husband, I just forced him to be typed, and he came out as an INTJ. And like it made so much more sense. Like I go to him like, oh my God, what do I do? Like I've got, a friend who's annoyed at me. How do I do this? Can I say that? Is that mean if I say X? And he's like, just say it. It'll
What
move on.
what kind of INTJ is your husband?
He's been typed as double masculine, blast, sleep, play, consume.
I see. Maybe you should let him know I'd like to interview him also.
He's like, I'm not getting interviewed about this. This is tough enough.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, do your best because tell him about ENFP. ENFP's INTJs are best friends. So
Notice like a lot of ENFPs, they get, they're friends with INTJs. Like
yeah, they
see,
are. Yeah, and I want to I want to interview him because I don't have much double masculine of his.
I have not, yeah.
I think. Yeah, because I've interviewed a double masculine INTJ before, but not a blast play. He's blast player. A blast sleep. Sorry, he's blast sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. So I've interviewed a blast play, but not a blast sleep. So I was like, oh, that's interesting for me. Like a blast sleep play consume double masculine INTJ. Like But anyways, back to you. Um, talk about your problems with that Ti fourth. Like Ti last.
You know what is it like? It's like a TI last and blast last. So like the type of problems I have is like, I'm not going to tell you my opinion for years. Like I'm just going to use a silly example if you don't mind.
Sure.
So my husband has been getting haircuts, and he always asks me, oh, is this a nice haircut? Should I get it again? I was like, yeah, it's a nice haircut. Of course you can have this haircut. But it took me 3 years to finally go, no, this is a terrible, terrible haircut. Why are you always getting this haircut? It's a disaster. Just change it. It looks wrong. It's wrong. Don't do it. And I'm never going to speak of it again. And I will never touch this topic again. So it's like, it comes out like, like
Aggressive.
finally, when it comes out, it's like a very strong opinion that I didn't even know I hold.
But your TI is double activated. So, and it's also masculine. So do you feel like that helps you a lot, with your identity issues or, not knowing yourself or not knowing your truths?
No, I don't feel like it helps. I know I should feel like it's a bit better, but like the TI is engaged in the animal, like consume and sleep.
Yeah.
So you can use consume and sleep, but that does not automatically make your identity stronger. If that makes sense.
Or can you?
I know what I like to consume. I know I like time on my own, but I still don't know what I want in life.
Well, you don't have FI, so not knowing what you want to like is a different. But what about your truths though? What are your truths? Because it's TI, right? So
there are so few. Like if I could, it's like you need to listen, and if you listen carefully, people will tell you everything you need to know. But then I realized that's just like saying, oh, you need to consume. That's just going into my saviors. Or like, don't be a dickhead, you can be nice. But it's still like, it's always going back to my saviors. So I really struggle to come up with like a genuine TI truth.
Those are still pretty good because not everyone's going to say you should listen to other people, like it's,
yeah. But it's like, oh yeah, let's go back to consume.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, technically you're using play and consume. So those are your saviors, right? Because then plays you're interacting with the tribe and then consumes your gathering for self, but you're still gathering for self. And then you're like, okay, the answers can be found from listening. So that is in a way, that's kind of a truth also. Because that is true though. Like you can
learn from listening, yeah.
It is true though, but it's not like it's wrong, like there's a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in the book they say, if you want to be understood, then pretty much you need to listen first. You need to understand the other person first before you can expect them to understand you, right? So what you're saying sounds like a truth to me. And yeah, it is your savior, but in a way it's like, how many ESFJs have like consume as a savior, and how many of them have, play and consume also in their first 3, like I think that is a good truth to say.
Oh, thank you. But to be honest, like I don't even know that many ESFJs. Like I literally, the reason why like I am such a fan of your channel and Benjamin's channel is because when I discovered I'm an EJ, I was like, oh, let's find all of them, every one of them. Let's listen to every interview that has ever been made. I must learn more about them.
About the ESFJs or
EJs?
Yeah. EJs in general. Okay. Yeah, you guys are rare. Like, I'm so happy that you actually like reached out to me to do an interview. I was like, oh my god, an EJ. This is like, oh my god. Like, it's so hard to find you guys. You guys are like, I don't know where you're hiding. I know there's a lot of EJs in the world, but they don't want to do the interviews. And like, usually for me to get an EJ to do an interview takes me like months of like trying to convince them.
I can imagine, because basically an interview is about you. It's like you're going to ask me questions about me, and it's already something I struggle with. And I feel like, oh, let's change the topic to somebody else, like my husband.
Yeah. And then when I do find an EJ to do an interview with, they're usually the jumper kind, like the chaotic kind. So there's like that part of them that wants to like age the tribe because they have play as a savior. So then I'm like, okay, where are all the blast first EJs then? It's like.
Yeah, I get that, because I think I've only seen on your channel Julia and Amanda.
Julia and Amanda for the ESFJs, and then for the I have one for the ENTJ also. So I don't think I have an ENFJ. I have one scheduled. You're happy to hear that I do have an ENFJ that's blast first scheduled coming up. So
who have you got?
What's that?
Who's coming to be interviewed? Tell me.
Well, Megan scheduled an interview with me, Megan Laboda. So we have an interview scheduled sometime in the end of July. So yeah, but it's been hard to schedule with EJs for sure. It's been like a nightmare. Like I feel like you're actually the only one that reached out to me as an EJ. The other EJs have to like hound them,
Yeah, I'm really trying to challenge myself. Like I was like, I should not do this.
Yeah.
But I know that when I was diagnosed with being an EJ, I found each one of them and I just feel guilty. I would feel guilty for not doing it, if that makes sense. It's a very reverse way of thinking about this.
Well, I think that's very growth mindset for you to even say, I think I should do this. Like the fact that you said, I think I should do this, that was like a very like Ti move, you know? Like,
Yeah, I just read the book Growth Mindset, and that is literally a direct result of it.
yeah, and you know, this is it, you know, like for EJ's doing this interview is so hard, and the fact that you did that, you took the step forward, you volunteered, like, you know, it wasn't like I hounded you, it's like you volunteered, right? And it's like, okay,
Yes.
that is like super growth mindset for sure. You know, not saying, you know, the EJs that I hounded are not growth mindset, they are, because they still did it, you know, they still did it, but you took an extra step, even, you know, like to volunteer for it is like an extra step. So I'll give you lots of like tribe props, you know, for doing that.
This set of compliments is making me so uncomfortable right now.
No, you gotta take it in. Like I said, EJ, you gotta be like, yes, I deserve this compliment, you know, you know, you know. But anyways, with that being said, you have consume as a savior and you consume as NF, right? No, sorry, it's not NF. It's what is your NT? Sorry. What is your NT consume like? You know.
Oh, it's so boring. It is so incredibly boring, I'm afraid. Literally, what I do is I watch lectures online, like evolutionary biology lectures from whatever that is, Robert Sapolsky, or like Jordan Peterson on personality, or any set of good quality lectures that I can find, I'm going to watch and watch and watch. And then I read a lot of boring books that are non-fiction, like Growth Mindset, you know, The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, just like generic, boring, heavy books that nobody's ever interested in listening about. So yeah, that's the thing I consume the most.
I don't think they're boring, but I am anti-savior, so you know.
There's that, yeah. And then I was watching your interview with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, she watches trashy TV shows, and I was like, oh my god.
She's here right now, actually.
And I thought, this is what my husband does. He just watches stupid TV shows and he thinks they're like amusing and funny.
Well, he's an INTJ. They like to SF consume, right? So they like the trashy stuff, right? Like the trashy TV shows. It's so
I'm
weird.
not going to say that to him.
What's that?
I'm never going to say that to him.
Oh, okay. But it's true. If they are going to consume, it's going to be the trashy stuff, you know? Like,
I think so too.
but I think life is a weird balance that way too, you know? Because like, you know, if you're like NTing all day, then you want to balance out. And the way you balance out is like, you know, like that SF.
SF. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, you know, you're supposed to be like an EJ, right? And the typical ESFJ is like SF lead, right? So then your swig would be like NT, like that's kind of like what's going to draw you in. But you have it in a savior state, which is I find very interesting. And your NT is also double masculine. So what is your double masculine? Why is it double masculine? Like how does it work? Like, are you, when you get sucked into it, like you get really sucked into it, like when you're...
Oh yeah. I don't, like, if I read a book of an author, I don't read one book. I read all of them. And then I watch every interview, and I read it. Sometimes I even read it again. And then I'm not done until I explored every similar author and every similar thing of a type that falls into the same category. And then I'm done, finally.
Wow. Do you think that's also with your masculine NE? Like once you're kind of set on that like topic, you kind of want to diverge in all that they have to offer for that topic?
Absolutely. Like, yes, like once I read The Laws of Human Nature, I just went past the references at the end of the book, and I just downloaded loads of them and I bought a lot of them. That was such a silly thing to do because it takes ages to read through that, and he's just summarizing it anyway, but I want to read it for myself, right? So it's like, I need to see it with my own eyes.
And then because your NE is masculine, do you find that you can remember patterns and concepts pretty well?
Oh yeah, as opposed to actual life, like numbers or names or dates. Yeah, so concepts are like easier. I wouldn't say they're easy, but they're much easier to remember compared to like SI anything, to be honest. Like I often feel like SI is like a major problem in my life, sometimes more so than TI.
Yeah, your self-awareness is pretty good actually, considering you have it fourth. Like earlier when I was, complimenting you, you're like, oh, I feel so uncomfortable now. Like you had that
Yeah.
you had that self-awareness, like you just knew like very quickly. So
I think, yeah, being a mope in the middle.
sorry.
I think it's like being a mope in the middle, like just having consume and sleep in the middle. I always thought I'm an introvert. Like I must be introverted. I hate people and I love my own time.
Yeah.
Therefore, I must be an introvert. Oh, too bad.
You are an introvert though. You have
I am.
consume and sleep. You're not wrong. Like you do have play first. So when you're with people, you're very playful. But then when they're gone, then you're like, okay, cool. Now I can do my stuff, my introvert stuff, and you do. And you
Absolutely, that is what I do.
now. Since we talked about one part of your introversion, which is the consume, let's talk about the sleep part. How are you using your sleep?
That's a great question, and I think this ST sleep is it's really quite bizarre. It literally for me it's like I'm going to go into my wardrobe and I'm going to physically organize my wardrobe for a week. Obviously, then it's going to be completely distracted by life.
Yeah.
But like this process of sitting somewhere and organizing something physically in the physical universe, or writing down like the next steps, like just behind my computer. I am, because I'm sitting like professional exams that are about a month and a half. So I cannot show you because it's behind the computer, but it's like a list what I have to do every day, which revision question I have to do every day, and then I'm going to stick to it. So I think this must be the ST sleep.
Oh, okay, that makes sense because you're planning what you're gonna do in the next few days for yourself.
Yeah,
Like what are the steps that you need to do for yourself? Like what works for you, and this works
exactly.
for you, right? So you have the TI, like what works for you, but then you have the SI also, which is like the steps.
Yeah, the little steps.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's a very good definition actually, of what ST sleep is. That's kind of confused me for like the last while because I'm trying to interview people with ST sleep, and a lot of people don't know what ST sleep is, even if they have ST sleep. So like I think this is a good definition of it. What about setting boundaries? So sleep is also when it comes to setting boundaries from other people, and you do have it as you do have it as a demon, but it's third, so it's not like it's um, it still means you can still use it. So how do you set boundaries?
I would say that actually setting boundaries is a major problem just because I'm an EJ with feminine FE. So I would say like it's more tribe and self question than just pure sleep. And the side effect of that is that I will like always step back if I'm interacting with other people. Oh yeah, you can have your way now, again and again. I'm going to step back. You can do things the way you want.
Right.
And then the boundaries, they come in when I get really annoyed. And then I just go into like, no, my way or no way. And it's like very extreme outburst type of thing.
Yeah. I do the same thing as you. I can relate to what you said. I think that sounds like it's like because of the feminine FE, because I have feminine TE, right? So I just let the tribes do whatever, and then I get to the point where like I hate this person, and that's when I
Yes.
like I'm never talking to you again, like
Yes.
I don't want anything to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're shocked, right? They're like, whoa, where did this come from,
You never mentioned anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's a problem. It's a problem that we have. We need to speak up and talk about like when it's getting too much.
Yeah, but I always feel like it's inappropriate to speak up because obviously they should guess like I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, that's bad. That's a bad thing that we're doing. No, we can't guess that they know. Like no one can read your feelings.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to remind myself, but it just feels inappropriate.
It's hard to do it. I mean, how do you even bring it up too, right? It's hard to.
Yeah, like how do you start your sentence? Do you say, oh, there's something really important I need to chat about now? You're doing things wrong.
Yeah, so I moved out of my mom's house, I think 3 times in total. And I think it wasn't until the third time I did it that I did it correctly, Like the first time I did it, like she left Canada to go to the US, and then when she left, that's when I left and moved out. And I didn't talk to her for like a year and a half, right? Before I spoke to her again. And she had no clue why I moved out. And she's consumed last too, so she didn't even bother trying to figure out why I moved out or understand. But anyways, the second time I moved out, I kind of lashed out to her. I kind of freaked out on her, and I just left and moved out. So it wasn't until the third time when I moved out that I did it correctly, where I said to her, I don't like you, so I'm gonna move out. Like
Did you
it's
say
like
that? Did you say I don't like you?
yeah, I did say it, but I said the third time I did it, I'm like, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna talk about it. I was like, I'm gonna move out because I don't like you, and then and I did, and I felt good that I did it like the right way, you know, because now I, even though I moved out, like I talk to my mom like like once every few months, but like it's better that I did it the right way than like before when I just did it like passive, like aggressive with aggressive way,
Because the resentment is not there anymore because you've said what you had in your mind.
Yeah, because I actually said it, it's not like it's festering inside. It's actually like I said it, so I think that made a big difference. So I'm like, oh, okay, you know, that seems to be the right thing to do. So next time, where I get to a situation like this, I need to just say to that person, like, I don't like you.
I would not say that though.
What's that? Well,
I
you have FE, so it's a little bit harder. Like I have FI, right? So it's there's a difference, but I don't know how you would do it though. How would FE people say it? Like
I honestly don't know. I think you're doing things wrong and they're bothering me. No idea.
yeah, it's I think it's gonna be harder for you than for me, because I think for FI we just talk about how we felt, but for FE, like how what do you even do? Like, do you cry or something? And is it like?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, the feminine FE. It's like it's a cry machine. You say something sad, I cry. You're not sad, but I thought your story was sad. Cry machine is on.
Really?
It's ridiculous. Absolutely. That's why I thought it's a demon, because like I don't want to be crying when somebody says,
Do you want to? I mean, do you feel like you're crying? Do you actually feel their pain, or is it the story?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just feel like this is so sad. It's unfair. Anybody would have to go through this. This makes me sad. Why are we all not crying together? It's silly. But it's like cheap emotion, like it's a cheap currency to connect with people.
Yeah, but I think crying is a good thing. You get it out, right?
Yeah, you get it out, so then it's not festering inside.
Yeah, I don't cry often, right? So for me, it's like I wish I cried more, because like I cry maybe like once every like every 2 years or something.
Oh my God, I
Once a
cry like twice a week.
Yeah, no, I envy people who can cry just like it's
Yeah,
raining.
I guess everybody wants something they don't have.
Yeah, no, I actually I like the feeling of crying. So I was like, oh, I wish I cried more, but like, it doesn't happen often, right? I'm like, remember Dave made a video, what is your cry routine? I was like, I can't even cry. Like if I wanted to, because I'm double masculine inside, right? So it's hard. So
So what happens if you watch like a really sad film?
it has to be the kind of sad film that would make me feel sad.
Mm.
Not all sad films make me sad, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Inside Out, which is like a Disney for
Oh,
kids?
I absolutely love that movie, but I didn't feel like I was gonna cry.
I was crying, and my 7-year-old son was like, "Why are you crying? It's a good ending. Didn't you understand? It's a good ending. Don't cry. This is not sad." And I was like, "I'm so moved."
Yeah, well, when I watched that movie with my girlfriend, and she was crying like bucket,
Yeah.
and like that part of the movie where Bing Bong disappears.
Oh, yes, that was. I was like, "Oh my God."
When I saw that part, I was like, I didn't feel anything. Like I
No way.
felt nothing. I was like, who cares about Bing Bong? You know. Now,
For me.
now there are parts of the movie where I was touched, but it wasn't that part. Like, because in my eyes, Bing Bong wasn't a big character. Like the other characters, yes, I felt more for them, but I didn't cry. Like that movie wasn't a movie that made me cry per se.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there have been some. There have been I think like if I were to watch something and it would make me feel emotional, like an emotional response to the point where I want to cry, it's not like it wouldn't be like a fictional show. It would be like a nonfiction. Like if it's someone real,
Yeah.
someone telling you their like biography, their actual story, then I'm like, oh, okay, you know. But I wish I can do I think that's a superpower, like crying it like at will.
I always thought like the Bing Bong dying was like a representation of your inner child going away and the inevitable move towards adulthood, and it's just so sad. So obviously I cried for an hour.
Do you think that's because like you're an EJ, and you know what they say about EJs, right? Like, what is your identity? It's like a little girl, right? So do you feel like that?
Yeah, yeah. I thought about it, like it must have been that. because I cry each time. Or like Moana, like I watched Moana with my son again, and he was like, again, it's a good ending, why are you crying? And I'm just like in tears since the grandma changes into the fish thing, like
Yeah.
already crying throughout the film. It's sad.
Is that how you think about your identity to this moment? Like, do you still think you're like a little girl? Like, do you think that?
Oh yeah, like I absolutely feel like a child inside, and I just feel like I should not be bound by rules and, you know, any sort of control, and I'm just a child inside. That's how I feel.
So there's a book that I read called The Truth. I don't know if you've heard of it before, by Neil Strauss. He wrote 2 books. The first book is it's called The Game. So pretty much it's a book on like his experience with picking up girls, because he was that kind of guy that like no girls ever wanted to date. So he wanted to figure out like how he can date like girls, because he didn't know how. And so that was the first book. Then later on he wrote a sequel called The Truth. And in the sequel he talks about like being in a relationship and the problems with being in a relationship, right? And then he went back to like your childhood, and in like your childhood it seems like everything comes back down to like your parents screwing you up, right? So basically in the book he kind of talks about like you being stuck as a child, or you being stuck as a teenager. Mm-hmm. And then there's you that became an adult, right? So there's like 3 stages where one of you, you know, the best case scenario is like your parents nurtured you, you had a need, and your parents was there for you, they helped you, they did their best, and as a result you grew up and you became a healthy normal adult, right? And your what's that?
No, I was just saying something clearly went wrong there.
Yeah. And then like now your relationship to yourself is like you're an adult to an adult, right? It's not like you yourself to a kid, right? Yeah, right? Yeah. So he said that I forgot the exact concepts here because I have feminine NE, but basically you got stuck as a child when you had a need and your parents pretty much just abandoned you. You know, they didn't nurture the need that you have. And again, like I said, I might have forgotten the concept entirely, but this is like kind of paraphrasing it. And then you got stuck as a teenager when you had a need, but instead your parents used you. They didn't nurture your need. They used you to fulfill their own needs, because your parent had needs that was unmet growing up. Mm-hmm. So now they're using you to meet their needs instead of them meeting your needs. So then you got stuck as a teenager. So for me, I feel like I'm in that point, you know. Like I felt like my mom, you know, I talked about like my mom earlier. Like I felt like my mom was using me and my sisters to fulfill her needs because she had unfulfilled needs. So my relationship to myself is like, I'm my bro, like we're buddies, right? It's like, hey man, mm-hmm. like you know, to like you go to like a playground in like when you're in high school, or like not playground, but like, you know, like let's say recess or lunchtime during high school, and you meet up your buddies. You're like, hey man, how's it going? You know, like, you know, that kind of stuff. That's my relationship to myself. But I feel like with my girlfriend, it's also the same thing. It's like, you know, parent to child, right? And so I noticed that she's quite hypercritical of herself. She's looking at me right now while I'm saying that. And so do you feel like you do that to yourself? Like you're hypercritical of yourself because you have that, like, you feel like you have a parent-child relationship with yourself, you know?
I don't know if I feel like I have a parent-child relationship with myself, but I am very, very critical. It's like, am I enough yet? Have I done enough yet? Is that enough? Like I'm such a busy person in my life. Like I'm working, I'm studying, I'm trying to teach my son Polish, even though we are living in England. Yeah. And I'm volunteering, I'm doing all of those things. I'm like, is that enough? Can I slow down now? No, I need to do more. It's like whatever I do, I always need to accelerate and do more for others. And then I just end up exhausted and I just crash terribly for like a week or two, and then I start over.
But what is that hypercritical conversation that you have with yourself? Like what is happening?
Wow, it's like a psychotherapy session. I'm not sure, you know, I don't think it's a conscious conversation. It's like this constant drive to do something else. And then you stop a month later, like, oh, wow, I spend 45 hours every week, not even looking at what I really want and what I think is important. Oh my God, it's a disaster. I made all the wrong choices because I was not paying attention to myself.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe because you have SITI sleep, so it's a little bit different, you know? So you beat yourself up, but in a different way, you know?
So how would you beat yourself up?
Well, I don't.
you've got play, and therefore your TE above FI. So what does that look
I
like
don't do
for
it
you?
personally, but my girlfriend has FI, and I see herself saying, "You're so stupid," you know, like she's saying that like to herself, right? And I'm like, well, why would you say that? You know, like, so she's giving me a
Yeah,
dirty.
like actually, yeah, that makes sense. Because what I say to myself is, the things you've done, they don't make sense for what you really want.
But then, do you know what you really want? Like, it's
No, obviously, no, absolutely not. But I know what I don't want, and these are the things I've just done.
you know that's really still good though. Like knowing what you don't want is still very good because at least you can narrow it down, right?
I think it's small progress.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. No, no, no. But like the fact that you said, I know what I don't want, I'm like, okay, that already like eliminates a lot of stuff, right? Then you can just use your tester. Yeah, you're a tester, right? So you can just use your tester to try out different stuff until you find the truth, right?
That's my current life stance. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying a lot of things, and I discover I hate them, so I move on.
Yeah, scratch. Next.
Yeah, year wasted. Let's move on.
Yeah, what about this one? It's like maybe this one might be okay. Check, like,
Yeah, that's literally what I do. Yeah.
Oh, I'm starting to get like how SP sleep works then, especially
Yeah.
for you as a tester. Yeah, it's like a checklist. It's like try this, don't like it, cross off. Try this. Hey, this one was good. I enjoyed it. Check. And then eventually you have a checklist of things that you like and a checklist of things that you don't like, and then that's how you find your identity, right? I mean, it kind of like
I hope so. Like, because otherwise, how would you find your identity as an EJ? Like,
you
how
know,
would you work it out?
I feel like you're cheating though, as like an EJ though. It's like, okay, I'll tell you why I think you're cheating. Number one, you're a tester, so you're naturally going to be trying different things out. And number two, you have a gathering savior, so you really have things to your advantage, because like the other EJs are not going to try things out, right? And then they're going to be stuck, and then maybe they've been doing this thing for so long and they hate it, right? But for
Yeah.
you, because of the tester and the gathering, you can check off a lot of stuff, you know.
I just, it's sort of like, I've been moving a lot. So like, you know how you're doing the travel vlog and you're like, I want to visit all of the countries.
Yeah.
For me, it would be like, I want to live in each country for about 3 to 5 months to try each one of them and then move on.
Right.
But I wouldn't just want to visit. I would want to stay there, learn the language, see what is it like to be there for real, and then move on.
Yeah.
I think that might be tester energy.
I think that is definitely tester for sure. And because I've noticed people who are testers, when they travel, they like to do what you just described, Because for me, when I travel, it's a little bit different. It's like maybe because I have SI or something, and I just want to check them off my list.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in situations where like I went to a country and for the purpose of just checking it, like I didn't care to see it, I didn't care to like explore it, I didn't care to get to know the people there. I just went there, stayed there for one night and checked. I'm done, right? But there's been times where I did that and I was like, wow, I really like this country. I'm gonna go explore it. So I think because I'm gathering, and I think as gatherers, we do have that advantage of like, because we do gather, we're like, oh, I would have never known. Like I'll give an example. I went to Serbia and I was in Belgrade for just one day, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, this country kind of looks beat up. I'm only gonna go here for one day because I think just check and get out, right? Then I went there. I was like, holy crap! Like Serbia is one of the friendliest country I've ever been to. The Serbian people are so nice. Like everywhere I went, I was met with kindness, and I was just there for one day. People are so.
Yeah.
Good. They didn't even have anything. It's like a poor country, and they didn't have anything. They were so kind, and I was like, I'm definitely go back to Serbia one day. And their English is so good too. I was surprised. I was like, their English is good in Serbia. What the heck,
What's is it? Do they speak Serbian?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess some Balkan language. I don't know what it is. Like, I think their language is the same as Croatia and like those other countries. I think they have, like, I think it's the same family as like the Polish language. I think, but it's not the same.
Some sort of Slavic language.
Yeah, I think so, like similar, but it's not the same. It's There's some words that sounds the same. Apparently, they said that if a Slavic person talks to them, they can understand a little bit of what the other person is saying.
Okay.
Because Polish is different from Russian, right?
Yeah, it's different.
But
obviously the alphabet is different.
But it's still Slavic, right? So
yeah, it's quite quite similar. Although I don't speak Russian, but both of my parents, they speak Russian. So whenever I watch like news about Vladimir Putin, I just say, what is he saying really? Is the translation correct? And they just go, this is what he's saying.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're mistrustful. Yeah.
I just feel like, if you're moving between languages, a lot of small things can be lost, like connotations and what the person means,
Yeah.
that can be easily lost in translation.
Yeah, but I went to Poland, and Polish people I found can speak English. Especially the younger ones. They can all speak like good English. And
Yeah. A lot of people are like really investing in speaking English and speaking foreign languages. And yeah, a lot of schools are just like, let's teach you in English at least one subject so that you can communicate fluently.
I think what surprised me with Poland too was like Polish people really want the American dream. I think that's what like surprised me. Like,
yeah, it's a very pro-American nation. We are a pro-American nation.
yeah, and I was surprised. Because I was doing volunteer work, teaching English to teenagers, right? I did adult and teenagers, and like, you remember that story I told you about earlier about the truth, where like you're stuck either in childhood or teenage years. So yeah. I felt like when I was teaching teenagers, I felt like I was one of them. Like, I felt like their struggles was so real for me. Like, I felt like it was happening to me right now. Like, I was just there. Like, I was just there in that moment, Like, I really connected with the teenagers really well. Like all of them. Like, it was so shocking for me, because I was dreading doing it. I was like, but it's just stupid teenagers. I'm not gonna like this. Then I went there.
Yeah, I would imagine that must have, like, if I can imagine something being really terrible, is teaching something to a group of teenagers. that is like horror playing out in my head.
That's what I thought. I thought the same thing. It's gonna be a horror story. I was like, oh my god, bunch of stupid teenagers. It's gonna be so annoying. This is gonna be the worst volunteer experience I've done. And I went there. I was like, wow, this was one of the best volunteer experience I've ever done. And I think the biggest thing that shocked me was like, wow, the American dream. They talked about the American dream so much. Like, a lot of them said, I want to go to the U.S. I want to live in the U.S. I want to be American.
Yeah.
I want to have the freedom. I want to, like, just be me. And I was like, and they really wanted to learn English so they can go to the U.S. I was like, holy crap! Like, this is.
Yeah, or like even if not to move, I know a lot of people who'd go there to study and then come back. Even though I understand that the U.S. college system is kind of expensive.
Yeah, they didn't care if it was expensive. They will do whatever it takes to go there and study. Because like people in Poland, they don't make a lot of money, right? And
no, compared to like the US, no.
Yeah, but I would say that when I went to Poland, it wasn't like Eastern Europe makes less money than Western Europe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think they made less than like the other Eastern European countries, because the other Eastern European countries really made like the Balkan countries, for example, they made like what $300 to $400 US a month as their salary, and I was like, oh my god, they're like that's all they made. In Poland, how much do you make? Like 800 euros a month?
Yeah, but I think it might just be a side effect of being in European Union for a while, and then the wages, they go up with time.
Yeah, maybe the living condition has improved a lot, but yeah, I was like, oh, so you made 800 euros a month in Poland, or which is about like 1,000 US a month. So I was like, okay, so you're more well off than these other guys who's making like 400, 300. Like, I was in Ukraine, I think they made 300 US a month. That's their like monthly salary.
Yeah.
When
were you in Ukraine? Like, how did you do all of this?
Oh, I took a year off to go backpacking.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was I'll give you like the general time frame, just the general one, because we'll be spending a long time chatting about this. But I was in the Middle East for 2 weeks. I was in Africa for 1 month. And I went to several African countries. And then I went to Asia for four months. And I was in South America for about 3 months. And I was in Europe for 3.5 months, I think. Yeah, roughly. It's just a rough estimate. And I was in Ukraine for 2 weeks when I went there, because it's kind of a funny story. I was in Hong Kong. I was in Hong Kong for a layover, like a 6-hour layover, and I was hating my experience in Hong Kong. But I stayed in a hostel, and I went to this hostel, and I was gonna get like 3 hours of sleep or something. And I met this Ukrainian guy, and the Ukrainian guy said, "Hey, come to my country." And I said, "Okay, I'll come to your country." He said, and I don't know. I think he probably thought I was not gonna come to this country, because no one goes to Ukraine. But when I was in Europe, I actually messaged him, "Hey man, I'm coming to your country," and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, come to my place. Stay for 2 weeks, I'll show you around." I'm like, okay. So he picked me up from the airport, showed me around like the different cities in Ukraine. I was like, wow, this is super cool, Yeah, and Ukraine is cheap too, right? So
it is, and they have delicious food, and they are very friendly most of the time.
yeah. What I like about the Ukrainian people is they're politically incorrect.
Oh,
Like
absolutely. Straight to the
they
point.
say the most like offensive things, and I was like, I love this so much. It's so offensive. I can't even say it on camera. It's so offensive, but I love it. I was like, it's like a few moments where I was like actually met people and I was dying of laughing. Like I was actually
Because they would say like absolutely not acceptable things outright.
yeah, they're saying a lot of racist things, a lot of offensive things. And I just thought it was so funny. Like they said it so casually too, right? And they don't just say it too, like they act it out too, right? They're doing the motions. I was like, this is so bad. But I love it. I love offensive things, right? So yeah. Anyways, I want to ask you again. You're going to consume mode now, so
yeah. I was just thinking, oh, I'm ruining this. I'm just asking you questions and like.
I noticed that you're going to consume mode now. So okay, let's talk about your play. You have NF play. So what is your NF play like?
Oh, what is NF? It's like the way I see it is just you get up in the morning and you just want to get everything done so that you can finally rest afterwards. Because like for me, play is like the first thing. So I wake up and I just want to take off some things so I can finally rest and do what I really want to do in my life, which is consume. So
Yeah.
I can expend a lot of energy in the morning for my family, for my friends, so that I can be free in the evening to do whatever I want. Just be done.
What about the NF part?
The NF, it's like if I ask somebody a question, I don't really care what they're saying. Like I don't care for the answer. This is just like a filler. I want to see what way will they answer. So if I ask my coworkers, how was your day? Obviously, it's nice that they had a nice day, but what I'm really looking for is, the emotional expressions. Is there a pattern in their behavior where, like one of my coworkers is just always like, every morning he's grumpy, but then every afternoon is super happy. I'm like, why is that? And just trying to figure out why would somebody be so grumpy in the morning, but so happy in the evening? Because I'm the opposite. I'm super happy in the morning, and then evenings they're dragging out. I'm getting tired. I'm dropping dead and falling asleep.
Really? I wonder if that's a sleep third. Like you're energy dominant, so you expended your energy. Now you're trying to conserve your energy, and then your inner world's grumpy too, right? It's masculine, so it's more. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm different from you, right? I'm like super grumpy in the morning, and I'm super happy at night. So.
Oh, really? So even though you've got play, you are actually. So maybe it's not a play thing. Just getting up, ready to go.
Maybe it's a sleep loss thing, because like I have trouble sleeping, so in the morning I'm so tired, so I want to sleep, but I'm so grumpy that I have to wake up.
I always imagine that if somebody sleep lost, they would just be the person who falls asleep first.
No, I have trouble sleeping. And I have trouble waking up. Sleep is definitely a problem.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely a problem. So what else do we? Oh, visual. So how are you? Are you very visual, the way you learn and the way you perceive things? Because your tests are visual.
I don't know, because obviously I've only ever been me and I've never been anybody else. But you know how Dave and Sean, they make those videos about like people have an internal monologue going on in their heads? Yeah. Like they hear a voice and the voice is talking, and I never heard any voices.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Like, if you ask me what am I thinking, I don't know. I only know it when I say it.
Can you picture things though when people get you to visualize?
Yeah, I picture situations, but not the dialogue of the situation.
And when you picture it, is it very vivid? Like you can feel the emotions, like everything that's happening,
Yeah. I cry sometimes if I imagine something bad, like somebody dying in my family. I just immediately start crying, and I'm already like swept by the emotion. It's
Oh my God. Okay. So that I cannot visualize things actually. Like it's very hard for me to see something. I've been practicing, so I can see a little bit, but it's very hard. But that internal monologue is happening all the time.
So do you actually hear a voice in your head?
I don't know if it's a voice. I'm talking to someone in my head. That's the best way. But it is their voice that I'm hearing when I talk to them.
So you're imagining a voice of another human that you're speaking to in your head. You're playing out the conversation.
Yeah, it's almost I'm like using play almost, but I'm having a conversation with that person.
Wow. Yeah, no, I do not do that at all.
Or I can hear them telling me something,
Wow. That's very different then.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, but it's different from yours.
I think it's just one of those things that you never speak about because you never assume that anybody else is different. You just assume that your way is the default way.
Yeah. But the weird thing is I have very good facial recognition. like when I see people's faces, I feel like I've seen his face before somewhere. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
I always confuse people. Their faces are just another thing that I forget. Just could be anybody. We could have met or not. I have no idea.
for example, I'm interviewing you right now, right? And like it's been almost an hour, and I'm like, you look like my client. Like I work as a personal trainer, right? And I have a client that looks like you know. And I was like, oh my god, I'm talking to someone that is like my client. Like, like that's what I was thinking earlier.
Maybe they're an EJ.
Yeah, I swear that she was using NE a lot, and I thought she was like an ENFP because she was using NE a lot. But now I'm talking to you, I'm like, maybe she's a jumper ESFJ. I don't know now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard. And you have like this similar look to Justine. Like, I don't know if you noticed. The YouTuber.
I don't know who that is.
She's like one of those big YouTubers. But anyways, like just like the more I'm talking to you, the more I'm seeing your face is like similar to hers. Like, except the only difference is like, yeah, you should look it up. But like, I was like, wait a minute, there's like a definitely similarity. The way you look, except she has straight hair and you have like more wavy hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like, and your face is more like round, I guess. Hers is longer.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Otherwise, it's like, oh, you look similar.
I need to check that then.
Okay, I'm trying to think. So they said that EJs have problems with pain, and that pain is coming from their identity. So talk about the pain that's coming from your identity.
I think the pain is basically like, first of all, you're already self-critical because you're an EJ, because you don't know who you are. And then anytime you try to express your real self, you're already like a scared child. And somebody says, oh, you could be improving on whatever you just did, saying your opinion better. I think for Ti last, it's like, how can I say my opinion without offending you? Because that's what I'm worried about. Like, I don't want to offend you, but also come across as a clear and reasonable person. And then if somebody says, yeah, I did not get you, I didn't understand your point, and I don't think it makes any sense at all. So that can be, that's a painful experience. That it's difficult to get up from that.
Gotcha.
But in terms of like pain in your real life, like, I think because I'm play savior, I'm not afraid of like physical pain or exhaustion. I'm just used to it. But like this emotional pain is, of course, I'm afraid of it.
I wonder if that's an FI thing. I did notice in the past, sometimes I would interview someone or talk to someone in real life, and I would think they're an EJ, that they don't like to exercise that much because they get sore afterwards. So they're trying to avoid the physical pain. So I wonder what type that is. But like, so for you, it's more emotional, it sounds.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like a small child inside crying if I feel like people are mean. And it's very true when what they say in the class, like the EJs are like, you're mean, you're mean, you're mean. In my head, people are like, were they mean? They were mean. It's their fault. They are being mean. I'm not being mean. They are being mean.
You have blast last, and your blast is SF, but it's double feminine blast. So let's talk about that. What is double feminine blast like?
I wish I knew what is double feminine blast. Like, I literally watched the interview you had on with Julia, trying to pinpoint, what is that? What are they doing? How are they SF blasting? What is this? And I have no idea. Because well, I don't even know what would it be.
It's like when your kids are fighting, you're like, okay, guys, you should play nice. It's like very soft,
Yeah.
It's not, hey, you guys play nice. Hey, stop fighting. It's like, hey, everyone, make sure you're playing nice.
Yeah. Oh my God, I do that.
Like that.
Absolutely that. Like it's like you quoted me. It's like kindly saying, "Let's stop fighting. Let's be nice to each other."
Go. You got it.
I didn't think that's SF blast. I was just like, we need to be on the same page all together. We must not argue. Arguing is bad.
You're still controlling their behavior, right? But it's like very soft the way you do it. You're like, okay, guys, let's make sure you're not playing. Okay, let's play nice. Okay, here's your toy. Okay, you go to that corner and you go to that corner. Okay, why don't you watch TV here and why don't you go eat your snack here? It's like very soft, right? Like you're still controlling the tribe, but it's like it doesn't even cost controlling. It's so soft.
Like we've got a neighbor. So I live in England, and the parking situation here can be quite tricky. Like people park on the road, and I live near the town center, whatever. We have a new neighbor, and he's parking in this place where he shouldn't park because we cannot get out of our parking. And I was like, oh, should I speak to him? Should I write him a note on his car saying, please, could you not park here? As you can see, there's this sign not to park. This is because we cannot get out of our driveway. And then I said it to my husband, and what he did, he has which sort of is clicking now. He just sped past the guy in our car. Like, I felt like, why would you do this? He was like 10 centimeters away. He just like next to the guy, and the guy was so scared. He never parked there again, and there was never a conversation.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, this is so violent.
Yeah, but I think it makes sense. You know, you're double feminine, your husband double masculine. It's like that's how you end up together, right?
Yeah. And then he was also, it's not a big deal. Obviously, he got the message. And I was like,
He got the message. It's so aggressive.
Or did he think we want to kill him?
Yeah, I think that's the message that he got. It's like is your husband Polish also?
No, my husband is Romanian, and he was brought up in Italy.
Oh, okay, got it. I was like, oh, this crazy Eastern Europeans are trying to kill me.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's so funny. Well, that's one way to produce a result.
Absolutely.
By scaring your neighbor.
But it's also like, I think in conversations with people, when I have to go into a confrontational conversation, I'm going to like, how can I say it nicely? How can I speak around the subject without actually saying what is the problem? And then I look at my husband, he's like, this is the problem. You need to change now. Do it now, or we're going to have a problem with you. It's like, oh, wow.
Does your husband think he's very feminine and think he's very like very soft and friendly?
Yeah, he's like, what does it mean, double masculine? I'm a very reasonable person. I'm not like that. Am I a mean person? I'm not a mean person. I'm just being reasonable here.
Does he think he's very soft too and friendly?
Yeah, absolutely. He's
feminine
like
inside, right? Like with a feminine Fi. So it's like,
yeah, he's like, I'm the only reasonable and movable person here.
jeez. Life is so funny.
It is so funny, yeah.
It's like when I interviewed Whitney, he's a double masculine NIFI. Mm-hmm. When he typed himself, he's like, oh yeah, definitely double feminine. You know, he's like, definitely double feminine. And he got double masculine. He's like, what? Am I this? Am I double masculine? People are like, yeah. He's like, oh, you know.
I didn't know I come off this way.
He's like, I feel like I'm so moved inside, you know. So it's like, it's so funny, like the way people perceive themselves, right? Because like,
yeah, because of the sleep, right? Because a lot of people will see themselves in the sleep as well, their internal life.
Like I met one guy before. I think he's double feminine, and he even has like his hands like going like this when he talks and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm super masculine. He's like, people he's super masculine, right? And I'm like, you don't seem masculine to me. but like inside, he is. It is true though. He is masculine inside, you know.
Yeah, so, but you would want to break it to everybody. Oh, you're the opposite of what you thought you were. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like it's like it's so funny because like you are not wrong because inside you are double masculine or you are double feminine inside. You know, you are not wrong. You know, so
that's just not what the letters are tracking here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna wrap the interview soon, Anna. So I have two last questions for you, and then we're done. So the first one is actually I actually forgot to ask you some more questions, I think, but it's okay. So let's practice using your blast last now. What advice can you give to fellow ESFJs or EJs in general that is having trouble with their identity? How can they work in their identity better so that they know themselves and it gets less self-loathing?
Oh, great question. So I would not dare to give you advice, dear EJs, but I would say the thing that is working for me slowly is literally writing things down in journals and speaking to myself on a video and just watching it back and seeing how ridiculous are the things I'm saying and how like they have no moral spine sometimes and they're not at all what I'm really thinking. And just reminding yourself in a day, no, don't go that way. Just say what you think. It's fine. It's all delusion. People don't expect you to always be nice. That's not the game.
Gotcha. Okay. And then the next part of the question is that, do you have any questions for me? Because I have Fi and T. So do you have questions about Fi and T that you don't understand?
Oh, I have many questions. So the first one would be, when in the class they say TE cannot be happy until something works. I don't get that. What does that mean?
Okay, I do have a question for you for when it comes to this, since we're listening now, because I forgot to ask you about this question. But basically, like if I meet like a group of people, you know, like usually the normal thing to do is like, hey, how's your day? How's it going? You have like a small talk first. Do you want something to drink? Tell them about your day. Like, no, I don't want to do any of that pleasantry at all. No, I don't want to go through that. That is a waste of time. I don't want to do that. I want to be like, okay, let's get to work right away.
Oh, that's so antisocial.
No. It's not that I don't want to socialize with them. After we're done working, then we can socialize.
Why? Why would you not socialize first?
Because when I know there's work to be done, I can't relax. So
is that the TE part of you?
Yeah, once the work is done, hey, time to relax. Let's go chat and socialize. It's like a question I always ask everyone: TEFI versus FETI, right? So people with TEFI, it's like work is not personal. I'll just work with anybody. I don't care. And then the personal time is personal. Like I won't socialize with just about anyone. I socialize with people I like. If I don't like you, I don't want to socialize with you. That's why I want to work with you first also, because after I finish working with you and I know you're a douchebag and I don't like you, then that saves me the trouble having to talk to you afterwards. I don't need to talk to you. I want to go home and talk to people I like. I don't want to talk to you, But I know it's with people with FETI, they'll socialize with anyone, go to parties with anyone, but when it comes to their personal time, it's like when it comes to work, it's personal. They don't want to work with anybody. They want to work with people that they know is competent.
Oh yeah, I mean, people are already so annoying, like to each other. We are all annoying to each other. I would rather spend 3 weeks having lunch with you before we ever go on a project together, and chatting about nonsensical things. How's your family? What do you do in your free time? Do you have any hobbies? Oh, what is your favorite sport?
Yeah.
Which I actually care about. But then it tells me more about who you really are as a person, because all of those conversations are like an opportunity for me to watch you.
Yeah.
And then once I know you're like a decent, solid person that I can rely on, then I would, ask for your advice or work with you.
That's so backwards between the TEFI and FETI. All right, Anna. I gotta run. Actually, I have to go hiking with my girlfriend and some friends. So, thanks again for doing this interview and reaching out.
Thank you. It was really nice.
That was super fun. And bye, everyone.
Bye.
And